everybody. I'm going to start by sharing. Oh, there we go. She's going to hopefully give me some so I can share my screen with you all. I was checking out the chat box and it looks like I have met quite a few of you. I've already had a few of you in my classes. For those of you that I don't know, hopefully this will start to share soon. My name is Amity. I know she just told you. I have taught many of these classes and I recognize many of your names, but there are a few new ones. So for those of you who are new, while I introduce myself, I always start off my lessons kind of asking everyone to show me that they can use the chat box. I use the chat box a lot. I ask that you guys use it to participate, not to be, not to be silly or to call each other names or to fill it up with emojis. So in the chat box right now, if everybody could tell me how old they are. If you prefer to tell me what grade you're in, that's fine. Just use the chat box right now so I can see how many of you are really good at it and are able to to get into there. And let me just put mine up here. For some reason, it's not showing. There we go. Okay, perfect. I have, looks like, I see some 9s and some 12s and some 11s and some 7th grade. Perfect. I see a lot of different ages. Actually, it looks like we're about down to maybe 4th grade. Yeah, my guess is most of the 9-year-olds are probably around that age too. Perfect. That helps me out because when I ask questions, I know the ages and where everyone should probably be. You're not old, Cheryl. I'm old. So thank you everybody for, that's what I'm going to do all throughout the class. If you haven't been to one of my classes, I ask questions. Sometimes they're on the screen. Sometimes I just ask you to participate if you can. And please know that if you're not able, maybe you're not a very good typer, do your best. Okay, do your best. Hey guys, a lot of you already in there like writing things like I'm thousands of years. Remember what I said. The chat box is there for you to participate in class, not to goof off with your friends. Okay. So for those of you who don't know me, this is my family. These are my pets, etc. This is where I'm from. And for those of you who do know me, you know that I am from Florida. And normally, I like to teach on history things, usually wacky kind of history stuff. And I still do. I love that's actually what I like to do. But I took a little change of pace, and I'm going to do this a couple of times here and there for people who are, just for all of us. One of the things that's happened is if you know me, if you've been to my classes, you know I love to travel. And like most of you, I'm assuming this COVID virus has really prevented me and my family from traveling like we used to. So I decided every so often I'm going to research and study a place that I want to visit. And I'm going to share it with you all so that maybe even though we're not getting to travel right now, we can kind of do that through some of our classes here. So today's lesson is from the country of Turkey. Before I do anything else in the chat box, those of you can try to describe to me where you think the country of Turkey is located. You could say it's west of this country, or you could say it's in this ocean. Tell me what you can, I want to see what everybody can say. What kinds of geography terms you may know, and if you know where Turkey is from. Turkey is. Come on. Chat box. Sorry, y'all. I'm gonna go back here real quick. Looks like, there we go. My chat box is a little delayed. Oh my goodness, I have somebody who actually I think knows a little bit about it. Thank you. Is one of my, I'm looking through here. Jingsu talked about the Ottoman Empire. I'll mention that. And Jingsu, by the way, I've heard that one before too. Turkey's where they like to eat turkeys. Not necessarily. It is near the Middle East, Austin. Very good job. Brandon, that is a fantastic description. I'm going to say the same thing. It's directly north of Egypt. Very good. Black Sea. A lot of people. And Rusi, I like your description. It's somewhere on the earth. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm going to flip to this next page here so you all can see. It looks like there's a little bit of a delay today. I apologize. A picture. I'm just showing you a picture. And I think a very similar picture was shown when I was introduced. Maybe this picture will help you kind of get an idea based on maybe the architecture you see. Does it look like China? Does it look like the United States? I think most of you have guessed that this is somewhere kind of near the Middle East. I have something I do want to share with you because I think if you hear their music, some traditional music, Turkish music, you will get an idea for the part of the world we're going to be talking about today. So I'm just going to play a few moments. I might come back in a little bit. It's not very loud. So I'm pausing it there. I will come back. I actually think it's pretty impressive. The music you're hearing being played is actually being played by those people they were showing on the screen. They are a band that plays on the streets in Istanbul, which is where we're going to be talking about. And the music is a little different than what we listen to here in the United States, which is part of why I find Turkey and Istanbul so fascinating. Again, this is one of the, I've been a lot of places around the world, but I have never, ever been to Turkey, and I would very much like to go. So here's why we're talking about this today. To be honest, this was all about me. I'm really tired of not being able to travel, and so I'm going to daydream and think about the places I hope to go to soon. So I believe, I can't remember who it was earlier, but someone said that Turkey is directly north of Egypt. It is. Someone else talked about it being near Europe. It absolutely is. Someone else said it's on the Black Sea. There it is. For those of you who aren't as, maybe studying geography yet, let me make this easier. The United States, this is west, okay? So the United States would be way across the ocean that way. And China would be kind of off the map over here. This is going to be east, way over on this side of the page. China is going to be way over this way. So we're kind of talking about a part of the world today that's right in the middle of both of us, okay, or all of us. I know a lot of you here today are living in Canada. Well, then you're going to be over here with me in the United States. But I believe most of you that are living in Canada came from China originally, or your families did. So that's just kind of getting you some perspective. One direction, United States over there, another direction, China, and Turkey kind of right in the middle. Okay. Thank you guys very much. I love all of you. I love all of the participation and great geography terms. I know it's not always a lot of people's favorite subject in school, but it's really helpful if you know some basic geography. Okay, let's take a look here. My PowerPoint is really delayed. So why study Istanbul? Well, I've already given you my first reason, and that's because I want to go there. I really want to go there, but there's some reasons. Well, first of all, Istanbul is how we say it. I don't know if in looking at that, that's how you would say it, but I put the pronunciation up there for you. In English, we would say Istanbul. That B-U-L, we get the O-O sound. So Istanbul. And all I put for the first thing here is, if you're like me at all, in fact, I'd love to hear how many of you love to travel. If you love to travel, maybe tell me your favorite place that you've been in the chat box, or tell me somewhere that you would really, really like to go. Since we're going to talk about one of the places I want to go, I'd love to hear from those of you. If you don't like to travel, you can say that too. But maybe when this virus is all over and everybody's feeling healthier and stronger, where would you want to go? Oh, I've heard some. Oh, Japan, want to go to the Maldives. I love that. And we're going to talk about the name Constantinople, Jingsu. It's not called that anymore, but it was once. Okay, let's see here. I've got a couple of people who've responded, told me again, I asked where you'd like to go. Oh, Ty wants to go back to China. I'm sure you want to go home. You haven't been able to. Some people say they just want to go home. Okay. The moon. I had a kid that Ty really wanted to do that too. Greenland, some great places, Maldives, Greenland. Okay. All right. Rucy says she doesn't really like to travel. That's fine. Oh, and then Brandon has a nice long list. Brandon, you're a little bit like me. My list is long as well. Okay. Well, and I like this last one that says, I want to go to my grandmother's house. I think a lot of us wish we could be traveling right now and we just can't. That's why we're going to do stuff like this. We're going to learn about different places. You may never go, you may never want to go to Istanbul, but it is still kind of cool to learn about places and to dream about them and think maybe I do want to go there someday. So a minute ago, Jingsu said that this city would in English would be called Constantinople. Well, the modern day city, those of you who want to and can, I want to read along, I'm here on the third bullet point. The modern day city of Istanbul actually had two different names before. It was first called Byzantium and then Constantinople. For a really, really long time, it was called Constantinople. It is actually the largest city in Turkey. It's not the capital, but it is the largest city. And I think this is one of the reasons what I really, really want to go there is because it is one of the most diverse cities in the planet. I should have made this a vocabulary word, this word right here, diverse. Who knows what the word diverse means? Those of you who are good with vocabulary, who knows what the word diverse means? Let's see here. I don't, very good, thank you. We see here. Isolated, somebody saying, I don't know. Anyone else know? Anyone have a guess as to what diverse means? I got a couple of good guesses. Okay, very good. Someone just finally said it. Having lots of variety. Istanbul is truly, in fact, in a little bit, I'm going to show you a statistic, one of the most diverse, which means variety of cultures. Very few people who live in Istanbul are actually from Turkey. Most everybody else that lives in Istanbul is from somewhere else, which is to me kind of one of the reasons I want to go, because you could kind of get to see a lot of different cultures in one city, which I think would be fantastic. That's part of the reason I love to travel, is to try new foods and hear new languages. In addition, Istanbul is the only city in the entire world to actually be located on two continents. Not two countries, two continents. If you've studied geography at all, you know there's 7. Istanbul actually crosses across 2 of them. It crosses the Bosphorus Strait right here and lies in both Europe and Asia, the Bosphorus Strait. So what I'd like to do here now is I'm going to hit escape real quick and come back to, actually, no, I won't. I'm going to show you on this other map what I mean by the Bosphorus Strait. We're going to talk about it in a little bit. But if I zoom in way far into Turkey here on my map, forgive me, it's going to take a second, and hopefully everybody can see it. Earlier today, when I asked you guys to tell me where it was, quite a few of you described near the Black Sea. This is the Black Sea right here. And these are different seas off the Mediterranean, down kind of off to the corner of our map. Istanbul, if you notice, is right here in the middle. And there's actually, I would have to keep going way far in. I'll try a couple more times to see if you can see this. There's a little stretch of water. Kind of, there you go. The Esk was covering it for a while, but you can see it is actually not touching. There is a stretch of water, a kind of like a river, but it's called a strait when it connects 2 bigger bodies of water. This river or strait is called the Bosphorus Strait. And this piece over here, this is going to be, so Europe is up over this way. And this is going to be, if I come back out clear, there's going to be one continent over here, and then that water stretches, and here is the other continent. It is the only city in the world that does that. So let's see, before I flip back to the map, based on what I've showed you, I think some of you are pretty good with geography. What 2 continents do you think Istanbul is on? I'm going to ask you this question later, but I think some of you might be able to guess already because you're pretty good. Very good, Jingsu. Very, very, very good. Fantastic. Let's see it. Most of you are getting it right. It is at least part of it. You're all getting it right. Most of you are remembering Europe. It is actually on Europe and in Asia. So the continent that China is located on, Istanbul is also located on. So it's about half and half. Half of the city is in Europe, half of the city is in Asia, which is a pretty fascinating to me. If you ask me, I just think we study these continents like they're completely separate, and they are most certainly not. Okay, again, Bosphorus Strait is just that river that connects the two bodies of water, and it crosses both Europe and Asia. I'm down here on about the 5th bullet point now, if you'd like to read along. Istanbul has over 14 million foreign visitors every year. This may not sound like a lot of you who are from maybe Shanghai or Beijing, because that's about how many people. In fact, they may have more than that. But outside of China, most, even the biggest cities in the world, Paris and New York, don't have this kind of population. This is a lot of foreign visitors, a lot. Basically today, we're going to kind of do two things. This webinar is going to give you a little look at the history, just a little look, because I'm the history teacher and I like history, so I couldn't skip that. But mostly what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the cool stuff you can do if you visit this city. Why did I do that? So in addition, I think not only is it so cool because of its location, because of its history, all the fun things to do, but Istanbul has a beautiful, beautiful climate and stunning, because of where it's located, really beautiful natural geography. So I'm going to ask you, is that fun vocabulary? Some of you said you hate it, so you don't have to answer, but if you can, you'll notice climate is bold. What does climate mean? What is a climate? What does the word climate mean? Take over my chat box. Tell me what you think it means. You have to forgive me. Some of my chat is like delayed today, so I can't get, if I'm not answering your questions or we're seeing you respond, that's why a lot of my chats are not showing up like they should. It's okay. All right, I've got some, Lucas, thank you. It is a bit like weather. Jingsu, that's perfect, you guys. It's like weather, but there's a little difference, right? So weather, very good. Weather on a global scale. What I would say for the word climate is it's like weather, but it's an average, what the weather is usually like. So for example, a couple of days ago, I live in Florida, and a couple of days ago, it was 32 degrees Celsius here. 32 degrees Celsius. Now, that was our weather. The weather that day was very hot. Normally, we're not quite that warm. We are kind of warm, but normally I would say we're probably more like maybe 25 at this time of year. Okay, so our weather that day had it being 32, but the climate could be described as being warm and sunshiny this time of year where I live. Okay, climate is the average, what happens normally over a long period of time. Normally, Istanbul is beautiful. It has kind of a nice, cool ocean breeze coming from the Black Sea and from the Mediterranean. It gets lots and lots of sunshine. It's just like, if you don't like weather that's too hot and you don't like weather that's too cold, it's a great place to visit. All right. For all my friends that were earlier today, oh, by the way, before I move to the next slide, this is the bridge that crosses that Bosphorus Strait, that crosses from one continent to the other. This is the bridge all lit up at night. Okay. So for those of you, when I asked you if you knew where Turkey was, a couple of you started noting historical things. That's awesome. That means that you guys have heard some of these terms that I'm going to use today. If you haven't, don't worry. That's what we're here for. We're just kind of introducing this stuff. Okay, come on. All right. So Istanbul is not young. It is not a new city like maybe Shenzhen or something. It is a very old city that was founded about 2,600 years ago. And again, it was not called Istanbul when it was founded, okay? But it's the same city It's been occupied the entire time for 2,600 years at least. 2,600 years ago. I think it was Jingsu, but somebody mentioned my second bullet point that you're going to see right here. Istanbul served as the capital city for almost 16 centuries. Don't know if you know that vocabulary word, but a century is 100 years. So 16 of those would be 1,600 years. It was the capital of this area. First, it was the capital during the Roman Empire, and then it was the capital as part of the Ottoman Empire. For those of you that may not know what either of the Romans or the Ottoman empires were, you will someday soon when you have to study world history. But you probably have heard, for example, of Chinese dynasties. In a way, it's kind of like that. It's a little bit. An empire, actually, let me ask, who can describe? Tell me what you think an empire is. I already kind of gave you a hint. It's a little bit like a Chinese dynasty. Those of you who can define empire, what do you think it might mean? Love all the participation. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you guys so much. I'm loving all the participation. Country or kingdom, places or queen, an empire is a country that's ruled by, there we go. Jingsu, you have a great answer. Let's see who else here has something similar. Bigger kingdom. Oh, very, very, very good, guys. Okay, so a couple of you have something close. Basically, what in the world? I'm sorry. Again, things seem to be a little delayed today. An empire is, it's larger than a kingdom. Larger than a country. It's a bunch of land controlled by a group of people. And so at different points in the world history, we didn't have the countries we have today, the modern countries that you all know today, okay? But it was like, so for example, the Chinese often had a lot of land that they controlled that became China. Well, the Ottoman Empire moved all throughout a certain area of the world, closer to you than it is to me, or closer to China than it is to me. And they controlled a big stretch of land from all different modern day countries. And so this particular city has been through a couple of different really big changes, okay? Different cultures and different people kind of ruling the kingdom. In fact, I don't know how many of you study religion or have ever talked about religions, but it's not only been ruled by different empires, it has had totally different religious background. The third bullet point here says that Istanbul was once very important in the advancement of the Christian religion during Roman and Byzantine times. And eventually, Istanbul became the center of the Islamic faith. We don't have time today to sit here and kind of go over the differences between these two religions, but please just know that they're completely different. And it was the same city, same people living there, and one ruler believed in something in another kingdom and a ruler believed in something else. So they've gone through a lot of changes over the 2,600 years, okay? A lot of different changes leading to this very culturally diverse place. Despite the name, Istanbul, being used since ancient Greek times, people have used that name. That's where the name came from. The name of the city was actually only formally changed in 1930 from Constantinople to Istanbul. I can't remember who earlier mentioned this again, but it's really, the name was legally and formally changed from Constantinople to Istanbul. The name comes from these ancient Greek times, and it means to the city. Because at the time, it was the greatest city in all around, all the surrounding areas. So if someone was going to the city, they used this word that sounded a lot like Istanbul. That's where they were going. They were going to the city. And that's where we think we got the name from. The official language of Istanbul is Turkish, but English is extremely common. Here's why. Remember that word diverse earlier that I taught you, diverse. Meaning lots of variety, different languages, different cultures, different religions. Well, only 28% of the people who live in Istanbul are actually from Turkey. The other 72% are from somewhere else. They're from all kinds of different countries: France, Greece, Israel, Armenia, and all kinds of African countries. 72% of the people who live in this city are from somewhere else, which means you're going to find food from all over the world, languages from all over the world spoken, just music from all over the world. It's a really interesting and diverse place to visit. Okay. I'm just going back. Hey guys, I think I said it already at the beginning. I need everyone to use the chat box for participating in this class. If somebody else is misbehaving or doing something that's distracting, do your best to just ignore them, okay? That's what the chat box for my classes is for, so that everyone can participate. We're kind to each other and we let everyone participate. So now you can give you something to do. Answer a question, if I can get it to pop up. This one's easy. Which two continents is Istanbul located? On which two continents is Istanbul located? And I know most of you can do this. We just asked it. It was nice. I don't know why I can't get the questions to pop up like they normally do. Oh well, it's just not working quite like it normally does today. Okay, chat open for. Okay, Europe and Asia, fantastic. Fantastic, guys. Great. I think I see Larry, I see Yolanda, I see Jingsu, Alina. I see a lot of people remembering that it is located on Europe and Asia. Let's try a little harder one. See if you remember this. I only said this once. How long ago was Istanbul founded? How long ago was the city of Istanbul founded? See how many of you can remember something I said a lot less and way back. Oh, perfect. Thank you, guys. I'm seeing quite a few people respond. Thank you. It's exactly what I want to see. 2,600 years ago. Jade, great job. 2,600 years ago. And somebody did say, I remember why you're talking about the 1600, guys. That's actually because that's how long one of the empires was ruling. But the city was founded about 2,600 years ago. Alina, that's a great answer, by the way, a long time ago. The city was founded 2,600 years ago. Last question on this page, see if any of you can remember the other names that Istanbul used to be called. There were two other names, and I'm going to be honest, they're hard to spell. So do your best. See if you can even remember what they sounded like. And if you can't, don't worry about it. But what did Istanbul used to be called? Good job, you guys. Thank you for everyone participating. Oh, thank you, guys. See, I can't really spell them very accurately all the time either. We have quite a few people answering. They were Byzantine and Byzantium, by the way. Byzantium, very, very close. And Constantinople. Something noble. That is the best answer yet, by the way, Larry. I like that. Something noble. Constantinople. Very good. You guys are making me laugh today. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, let's keep going. Now we're going to get away from the history a little bit, and I'm just going to get to tell you about some of the really awesome, fun things that there are to do, beautiful things. If you like to visit beautiful places, this is the place to go. So one of the first things is on almost everybody's list is called the Hagia or Hagia Sophia. The Hagia Sophia, and this is it from the outside. This is it from the inside. I'll get some things up here for you guys to read. So the Hagia Sophia was a type of church or mosque built in 537 AD, almost 2,600 years ago. Okay, guys, this was built, it has gone through two totally different religions. It was built for one religion and used as a mosque, and another religion came in thousands of years later and used it as a church. Same building, the building's still standing there. You can kind of see why. It's like kind of big, huge stone and marble. Okay, so this is a not only very beautiful place, but you can kind of see it's enormous on the inside. These are little tiny people down here. It's a huge, beautiful, ancient church. A mosque is just a type of church, if you know what the word church means. This is actually one of the best remaining examples of architecture from this time around the world. and is actually, because of that, been called a World History Site. There's not a lot of stuff this old that is in this, you can see I'm this good of shape. Okay, it's not perfect because it's old. All right. But it's still standing, it's still used. People are still using it every day. It's not in rubbles. It's not like, fallen down and little bits left over. This is a really old building. One of the things I find so interesting is it's so old, and this dome that you see here at the top, and you can see over here, the top of that dome is 55 meters high. 55 meters high. And all I can think about is, how did they do that long ago? They didn't have a crane. They had to do that by hand, with somebody on a ladder or something. How crazy is that? Maybe ropes. Who knows? All right. Hagia Sophia. That's one of the first things. I have a video I'm going to show you of the second thing here in a moment, and I'll ask you some more questions in a minute. But this is a totally different so kind of culture and religion, just history. The first place, Hagia Sophia. This is called the Grand Bazaar. Kind of like a shopping mall, but even if you don't like to shop, everybody should visit the Grand Bazaar. It was built hang on a second here. There we go, 1461. This in your particular, I'm going to show you a video here. I think they show you from the outside. This was built in 1461, and it was believed to be the world's first kind of shopping center. It now has about 61 streets and 4,000 shops. And every day, at least 250,000 people come through this particular shopping center. Obviously, at certain times of the year, it's busier. What I would like to do, kind of give you a feel for this, is I'm going to kind of escape out of here for a minute. Thank you all. Remember, we're using the chat box. Hopefully it'll be about the stuff I'm showing you, okay, and about the lesson. I'm going to show you just a little bit of this this video about kind of going in, and you can see the diversity within this shopping center, the Grand Bazaar. There we go. I closed my video, makes it.
Long before malls and Walmarts was this epic shopping center.
I'm actually going to, because I want to make sure we get more time so you can see. He talks, I forgot. I need to start it at 30. I apologize.
In 2014, the Grand Bazaar was listed as the world's most popular tourist attraction, with over 91 million annual visitors. Shopping for everything from lanterns to ladles, it's almost impossible to leave empty-handed. I highly recommend bringing along a local guide to help.
Actually, mute it. Keep playing. I just want to kind of scroll and show you guys a few more scenes. It's obviously all kinds of local items that people sell. Everything from lamps to rugs, yes, to clothing and scarves. But then there's a whole section that is food from all over the world. Because remember what I told you, diverse. So it's not just Turkish food. It's food from all of these different cultures that are all over the world. We're going to talk about food in just a little bit, because I think that's one of the best parts of traveling is getting to try new foods. Let me open my video up again. So Grand Bazaar, I'm just going to check the chat box. I'm making sure I keep flipping back, but it's such a delay today that I'm not sure I'm getting everybody's. Okay, perfect. All right, so first thing was Hagia Sophia. Second is Grand Bazaar. And actually, I don't know if you caught what he was saying in that video before I muted it. He said that a few years ago, it was listed as the #1 tourist site, #1 most visited tourist site in all of the world. Because if you go to Istanbul, you go to the Grand Bazaar. All right, this one's a little different. I don't know if some of you are going to recognize this or not. I know you haven't. I didn't hear anyone say they'd been to Turkey or been to Istanbul, but you might recognize this, and I'll tell you why in a minute. This is called the Basilica Cistern. Cistern. And basically, a cistern is kind of like a well, an underground place where water is stored. I know those of you who've lived in big cities like Beijing and Shanghai don't have this. But a lot of places around the world, we use something underground to hold water. Basically, cisterns are huge waterproof boxes, or cement rooms that once upon a time, even though you see all these beautiful columns, this whole thing would have been filled with water. And it was actually one of I can't remember if I read it. I think it was about 160 that there are throughout all of Istanbul, underneath the ground in Istanbul. But it was the biggest. This cistern was built about 1,500 years ago and is the largest of all of the hundreds that are below Istanbul. It could hold over 80,000 cubic meters of water. 80,000 cubic meters in just this one. So why did I say that you might recognize it even if you've never been there? Many, many, many movies have been filmed here, and video games too. And if you look at this picture, you can kind of see why. It's creepy. It looks creepy. There's kind of like walkways in different places. You can see like one way. I don't know if you'll see this, but way up here in the front, I'll use a different color. There's walkways that you can kind of cross back and forth all throughout this. And you're kind of walking over water, and it's kind of lit, and it's kind of creepy. Movies that you may have heard of, I don't know, you're all a little young, but maybe some of you have heard of James Bond. There's a lot of James Bond movies. There was one called Skyfall that was filmed here. James Bond, The World Is Not Enough, another series of movies called The Da Vinci Code, movies called Taken, and then a whole bunch of video games that, to be honest, I'm old and I don't know. But a lot of different movies and video games film here because it's just such a unique and beautiful place to see. All right. So some of you are like, okay, that's a lot of history. Let's go back and just ask a couple of questions. Vocabulary. What did I say a mosque was? What is a mosque? I know your fingers are itching to get typing in the chat box. So what's a mosque? Who remembers? Thank you, Alina, very much. I appreciate it. Maxine, thank you guys. Ping, thank you guys so much. All of you that are participating, I really appreciate it. Rusi, Yolanda, it's like a church. It's just some religions call it a church. Some call them a synagogue. Some call it a mosque. Some call it a temple. It's kind of the same thing. Depending on a religion, it's a big building where they come to meet together and worship whatever God they believe in. Okay. So at one point, obviously, this was the religion that was kind of in this particular area at the time. It was largely, predominantly, maybe a big word, for something called the Muslim faith. There's still a lot of Muslim people who practice the Muslim faith today, but it's also Christian as well. Let's see if you remember. When was the Istanbul Grand Bazaar, the shopping mall? When did I say that kind of shopping center was built? When was it built? Let's see who remembers, who's paying attention to the little details, the things I say just like once. Rusi, you're my favorite. It's built a long time ago. But Larry, Jinran, Alina, some of you got the exact right answer. Thank you guys. Jade, very close. Jade and Larry, very close. 1461. You guys are paying very good attention. Thank you so much. Last question for this review here, right? Just for right now. What is a cistern? I asked you a minute ago what a mosque was. Let's see if you're paying attention. What's a cistern? What's the cistern? And if you're, feeling a little like extra, like you might be able to, even more than that, when did I say that the one I just showed you, the Cistern Basilica, when was that built? Thank you. I see so many of you, and I really appreciate it. I love all the different answers and just trying, because it doesn't really matter if you're really a building that holds water. Perfect, Alina. That's great. That's exactly what it's kind of like, an empty room that holds water. A sort of well or a place that holds water. Perfect. It's not for waste. It is for water. It's actually for water. And you might think, well, they're on the ocean. Why do they need water? This is a science lesson for another time, but you need fresh water. You need drinking water. We can't drink salt water. Our bodies can't. So we have to have fresh water. And at the time, there wasn't a lot of that. Istanbul was built 2,600 years ago, they hadn't quite gotten the freshwater sources to Istanbul, so they had to store it. So it's an underground water room. Ping, I love it. A cistern is absolutely an underground water room, and it was built, this one I showed you was built in the 6th century, about 1,500 years ago. You guys are good. I love paying attention to all the details. So this is like one of the next thing I'm going to point out to you. We've gone to the Grand Bazaar. We've seen the Cistern. We have seen the Hagia Sophia. To me, this is like one of the things I would want to do if I went. Take a boat ride through that Bosphorus Strait to go from the Mediterranean to the Black Sea. There's lots and lots of different tour groups and companies that will take you up and down that Bosphorus Strait. If you look over here, kind of on the right side of my page, I have a picture. You can see it's like just a body of water that winds, and it's a big, wide river. Here's the bridge that I showed you earlier, lit up at night. Okay, but you can take a boat up and down this, and I would love to be able to do that. One side of you, you're on the boat, and when you go one way, one side will be Europe, and one side would be Asia. Such a cool concept. The tours, depending, some of them kind of go up, and it basically takes you about 90 minutes to go up and down, to just go up one way. Some of the tours kind of stop at different places to let you visit those places as well. So they can be 90 minutes to maybe 4 or like half a day. I want to show you just a little piece of this. That's, this is kind of my thing as well when we do these webinars, is I kind of like to show you video clips and sounds and things to make it a little more real and interesting. So this is an actual video that someone took while on one of these tours going up and down the Bosphorus Strait. You can kind of even say, it says right here, Bosphorus Tour. I'm going to hit play. I want you to hear it for a moment, but then I'm going to mute it so that it's very loud. So they're on a boat that looks just like this. And this way I can also kind of continue to show you things. It should keep going. There we go. I can fast forward as we get. So you can see you're going to pull out. You're going to be kind of right in the middle of the city when it starts. You're going to go past so many different kind of historical sites. I'm going to move forward just a little bit. There's also some really beautiful kind of, this is an older bridge that you're going under right now. Neighborhoods, old historical neighborhoods, as well as really fancy houses built for different more important people because it's very expensive to live on the water. So for example, this is someone's home right here. It was built originally many, many years ago for one of those emperors. But now you'll see there's a lot of different really beautiful homes. And then I'm going to kind of scroll back. You don't need to see all the people. But I wanted to see, this is that bridge again that I pointed out to you earlier. They're going to go right underneath it, and I forwarded it a little too much. But you can kind of see it here, and they're going to keep moving it underneath it. And again, it's just, I imagine it's probably one thing at night. It probably looks totally different at night than it does during the day. But so it depends what you want to see. Do you want to see all the lights or do you want to be able to see the different homes and mosques and castles and things like that? You can see it's a very, very wide body of water. It doesn't look like it on the map when I showed you earlier, but it's a big, wide river. And I personally think that this is one of the things I would want to do if I went. I know that I don't get to show you guys a ton of it because we don't have a ton of time. But that's because I do want to make sure I show you. So I mentioned just a minute ago, I'm actually going to skip and come back if I need to. When I travel, my favorite thing to do is try new things. I love trying new things. And so I thought I probably mentioned that here, that there are some really, the food in this area is, again, very diverse. But some of it might even kind of look a little bit like things you guys eat. For example, I know you don't eat, might eat something that's more like an egg roll or even a dumpling. They eat meat. This is meat and rice kind of in the middle, but instead of it being dough on the outside, bread or dough, they wrap it in leaves, vegetable leaves, kind of like maybe like spinach. But if you know what spinach is, that's not spinach there, but it's a vegetable leaf so that you can eat the whole thing. This is called dolma. Eats the same way. It's got a sauce and everything. This is their version of pizza called pide. And it can have everything. Like I was talking to one of my Chinese students the other day. It'll have a sauce and it'll have meat, but sometimes it can have like this green one here. It can have vegetables and this kind of white cheese on it that's not much, it's more like crumbly instead of a sauce. I think a lot of people know Turkey. If you've ever gone to Turkey or heard of Turkey, you know of this thing on the right. These little pink squares are called Turkish Delight. Turkish Delight. And it's a candy almost. It's sweet and it's a little bit squishy, not really soft, but it's a little bit soft. It's not hard. You don't suck on it. You bite it. And it can be flavored like all kinds of different things. Often it has nuts or dried fruit or something like that in it. Again, dessert. And this part of the world is famous for something called Turkish Delight. Over here on the left-hand side is maybe something that does look a little more familiar. It might even look a little bit like a hamburger, but I don't know if you can get from the picture. They're not like a hamburger might be like that, right? This is probably more like this. It's like flat meatballs. And usually what they do is serve them with like a bread that you can pick them up with the bread and put whatever you want on it. They're called kofte. I just personally think the food looks bright and colorful and fresh and delicious. I'm just going to check my time real quick because I have to ask you guys more questions. You know I do. So let's come here, and if I can, I will come back. I think I actually have a few minutes. Perfect. So the other thing I would want you to do is visit at least one of the many palaces that are in this area, and there are a lot. So I picked this one just because you have to pick one, and you can't be unless I moved to Istanbul. I wouldn't have time to see everything, even if I was there for 2 weeks. If you follow along as I read right here, due to the many different empires, we talked about empires earlier, rulers, kingdoms, the many different empires and cultures that have ruled Istanbul throughout the years, there are many, many different palaces all throughout the city. A palace is like maybe another word you might know is castle, but you can see it doesn't look like a castle. It's like a really fancy, fancy house. Okay. So all up and down that Bosphorus Strait, there are many different palaces. And if you only have time for one, you should probably visit this one. It's called the Topkapi Palace. For about 400 years, those of you that mentioned it earlier, this was the main palace of the Ottoman Empire. Okay, the main palace of the Ottoman Empire. 25 different Ottoman Empire emperors lived here. 25 different emperors. And it was built all the way back in 1475. It's in pretty good shape for being built in 1475. Personally, I think it is. It might just be that I live in a country where nothing is that old. So I love when historical buildings have made it this far. What I want to do now is we're going to skip because the first one, you all got it. You know it's between what two continents is Istanbul located between? Europe and Asia. Done. No big deal. So let's look at the second question. Let's see if you guys remember. How old is Istanbul? How old? I'm looking at my time to make sure I give you guys time to ask me questions if you have any. I know some of you like to ask questions, so I don't like to take that away from you. Perfect. Thank you guys. 2,600 years. Very good. All right. Let me get you another question up here. See if you remember how many people in percentages is how I gave it. If you want to give it some other way, about how many people that live in Istanbul are actually from Turkey? How many people? How many people did I say that live there are actually from there? In fact, some of you, I think, are living in cities in Canada that are very much like this as well. Canada has some very diverse cities as well. Good job, guys. You're all pretty close. So actually from Turkey, 28%. Good job. That's not a lot for a big, big city. Having really, right about one fourth of the population is from Turkey and the rest is from somewhere else. That is not a lot of people. All right. Let's see if I can think. What is the Hagia Sophia? What did I say it was? What is the Hagia Sophia? You guys are doing great. I think I'm going to do this question and one more and give you guys a chance to ask me questions. If you don't have any, we'll continue doing them. Thank you, guys. Lucas, Zinron. Oh, perfect. Brucey. Ping. Guys, thank you very much. It is a church. Well, at first it was a mosque, and then it became a church. I mean, they are places of worship for different religions. One more, and then I'm going to have kind of turn it over to our administrator and ask. Is that the one I want to do? Actually, we're going to do this question right here. Then I'm going to see if any of you have questions for me. Look at this question right here. We're going to skip down one more. What two bodies of water did I say that the Bosphorus Strait connects? What two bodies of water? It's a little harder. Maybe you only remember one of them. That's fine. Maybe you have something you call it. You can't remember how to spell it. Perfect. Yolanda Ping. Great job, guys. A lot of you are remembering the Black Sea. That's the one. Oh, thank you, guys. We're very good. Some of you are remembering the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. Lucas, you make me laugh. I like it too. If you don't know how to spell it, you can put like ... something. Mediterranean. Yes, very good job, guys. The Bosphorus Strait is that kind of river. We use the word strait when it connects two bodies of water. And I think it has to be a certain distance or less to be a strait. But strait, the Bosphorus Strait connects the Black Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. So now I have more questions to ask, but I know we don't have much time left. So let me turn it over to our administrator and see if she wants to open it up to questions from you all. And I can answer a few questions about our presentation today or anything else maybe. I don't know if she's listening. Can you hear me? Can you see if anyone wants to ask a question? If not, I may just answer. I'll say the questions aloud that I'm seeing in the chat box. Okay, I think our administrator may not be hearing me right now. It's okay, guys. I think Annie's busy. So let me go look over.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is. Okay. Can you open up? Some of them have questions. Jade. Hey, Jade, I remember. How you doing, Jade? You have a question?
Like my question is that is there any war happening in Istanbul? Because I see in the book, like in those places, there are often many war.
Yeah, there's not certainly now, not in modern times, but absolutely because of its location between these kind of two continents. And because it was like the way to get through, it was the easiest way to get from one to the other. It was often under conflict, which had wars often, not in modern times, not even in certainly not my lifetime, not in your lifetime. But yes, throughout its 2,600 years, there was often fighting there. It's a very good question. And we could go on about the wars for a while, but I think I'm going to just leave it at that. Yes, there was often conflict.
I have another question. Is that
yes, Jade?
Famous people from Istanbul?
Oh, that's really a good question. To be honest, I'm going to be one of the first times I've said this. I don't really know who would list Istanbul famous people. I can research it and see if maybe Jade, before we go here, I'm going to quick look it up and I'll answer it out loud before I head off. But I don't know because of, remember what we just said, only 28% of the people actually come from it. So I'm not sure how many people would consider it their hometown. So let's just look. And I will answer it if I can. I'll kind of come back to your question after a couple more, okay?
Okay, thanks, Miss Amity. Bye.
You're welcome, Jade. Bye-bye.
Hello.
Do you have a question?
Yes. My question is, how did Turkey get its name?
So let's be honest. I think it's, do you think it's a strange name too for a city, for like, do you think, because most people, when they hear the name Turkey, they think of the bird, right? And I think most of us kind of, I think it actually, I've heard how I thought, let me just double check here. How did it get its name? To be honest, I think it had to do with somebody who came, one of these different groups of people that came into, they gave it the name Turkey. And I don't know that it's, let me just check something here. I don't know that the story I knew about how Turkey got its name, country of Turkey got its name, is correct. So I want to make sure I give you guys the right answer, because it is a strange name. And I don't know that you and I don't know if I've ever had anyone ask me that. Okay. I don't think so. It's not, the bird is not native to it. What I was told growing up was that it was because of there were so many turkeys. I don't think that's it. It just says, I'm going to read you something I found. It says the name Turkey is the English version. There's a fancy word, but the English version for the word Turkiye, I think is how you would say it. And that is from back in the name that the Ottoman Empire, they gave it. And I think, to be honest, I'm going to write it here on the screen so you all can see it. It's nothing like Turkey, but it's maybe because we said it like that. Maybe it's how we started to say it. So it looks like they spelt it like this: Turkey, I-E. Can you guys see on the screen? It's kind of the same there. It's got a couple extra Y's and a couple extra I's. And so I think maybe we just kind of started saying it in an easier way. It doesn't say what it means though. Okay, Yolanda, I don't know what it means. I just know that it came from the Ottoman Empire and what they called this land. Kind of like I try to say some of your Chinese words often, and it doesn't sound right. I think that's what we probably did here. I hope that's enough of an answer. Yolanda, do you have another question?
No, but thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking.
I'd like to ask a question. So you say that Istanbul is come from Europe and comes from Asia. There are a lot of immigrants. And I think the religion was pretty interesting, because I would like to ask about, so the Europe and the Middle East, there's some Islamic and maybe some Christians, and the Asians maybe have some religions that comes from too, maybe Buddhism or something like that.
Certainly, yes.
I'd like to ask, what does it have the effect to this country or to the city of Istanbul?
I think that's actually part of why people choose to live there, because what Brandon's asking everyone is, if you get a lot of these different religions, sometimes people kind of have conflict, or, one is more popular than the other. And, this particular country, this particular city is so diverse that everyone is used to, their neighbor having one religion, and then they have a different religion, and the people that they go to school with have another religion. I've never, like I said, I've never been there, Brandon, but I do know people, quite a few people actually, that have visited, and I have known somebody who lived there, and they all describe it as a really neat place to live, where everybody kind of just accepts, that you don't like, it's not that they all agree, but like, I don't know what he believes, but I don't believe it, and so they kind of live together peacefully, which is really kind of different than I think a lot of other countries around the world, my own including sometimes. Sometimes people don't live so peacefully here in the US. But you would be inclined to think that religions would cause a problem. It doesn't seem to cause that kind of problem, because it's just so diverse. But it's a really smart question, Brandon.
Okay.
Any other? You're welcome. No need, don't worry about it. I will see you all again next month. I know a lot of you are regulars, so hopefully I will see you again next month for my next webinar. And for now, I'm just going to let you guys go. Thanks everybody for participating. Those of you that answered questions, I really appreciate it. I'm going to turn it over to Annie. Thank you.